Okay, so information about future event. So if we do definitely we're gonna have this free AI ML virtual event on 31st of July. If you don't have the link handy, you can go to this particular link and find the more information about the event. So it's going to be like we will start with why we have to invest our time creating or learning about bots. Then we will talk about what is Microsoft Bot Framework, what is Azure Bot Service, how we can get started. We will talk about what is Microsoft Cognitive Services. We will have lots of demos, key takeaways, and question and answer. So I'm using dual screen here, and even though I mentioned Q&A towards the end, feel free to ask questions at any time, and you can ask question by just typing those in the chat window, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions. So why this session? Like why we should invest our time to learn about bots and AI in general? Because I personally think because of all the advancement that is happening in computation, the tech industry in general is focusing on using AI in business application. So you may be hearing a lot of news or media hype around driverless cars and autonomous cars. So that is now possible because we have very strong computation power to support that. And I personally think AI and machine learning and bots development is at the same stage when mobile development was when iPhone 1 was launched in 2007. So if you go back 13 years, 2007 when iPhone 1 came out, very few companies or very few enterprises were using mobile application for work. Fast forward 13 years, if you join a company today, they expect you to have a smartphone and you are expected to get your some kind of work done using your smartphone. So same kind of shift will happen where AI and ML will be mainstream. So right now, mobile development is the mainstream. If you are launching a new product or if you are signing up a new service, chances are the mobile support is definitely going to be there. And if the company is big, they will have a support for desktop experience as well. One of the example I would like to give you here is Robinhood. So if you are in the stock trading, you may have heard about this company. It's a US based company. They launch the free stock trading platform 3 to 4 years before. They got really, really popular. And when they launch only as mobile app only. And after they got popular for 2 years after, they got very popular, and then they launched a desktop app. So same kind of shift we will be seeing in the industry, where if you are writing a new application for your enterprise or if you're working on a new product, the business sponsor will definitely want to make sure you are using some kind of AI and machine learning in your application. One of the key stats I would like to give from Amazon, and these stats are a little bit old. So Amazon sold millions of Alexa devices in the 2017 holiday season, and this number is going up in the subsequent holiday season. And Alexa is nothing but a voice-based bot, and there are similar voice-based bot available from other big enterprises as well, like Google has Google Home, Microsoft has Cortana. So the shift we have seen in the industry is once something gets popular in your personal life, sooner or later you will be using those kind of devices in your professional life as well, at your work as well. And smartphone is really good example of that. So since millions of people are using something like Alexa or Google Home at home, and they are getting comfortable using this kind of devices, it's just a matter of time before you will be seeing the same kind of devices will be sitting at your work desk as well, and you will be expected to get your work done using those devices. So if you are a developer, you should know how to write application that will work on those devices. If you are an IT pro, then you should know how to support this. And if you are a business user, you should know how to use those devices. Another thing that is making AI and machine learning very popular these days is you don't need to be a data scientist to use AI and machine learning in your application. The big organizations like Microsoft, the Google, the Amazon, the IBMs, what they have done is they have launched AI as a service where you just have to sign up for the service and you just need to know how to use that service. You don't necessarily need to know how those services got built from the ground up. One of the analogies I would like to give you here is if you have done any kind of JavaScript development, and if you have heard about the popular JavaScript frameworks like Angular, Knockout, or React, you as a developer don't need to know how these frameworks got built from the ground up. all you need to know is how to use this framework in your application. This is the mission statement from Microsoft. They want to make sure they want to make data science and AI accessible to everyone, and it doesn't matter what your role is. And a lot of the services and product offerings that are coming from Microsoft are actually adhering to this particular mission statement. So when it comes to Microsoft AI platform, under AI as a services, we have a conversational AI, which we're using which we can create bots, and under AI as a model, we have cognitive services. So if you are interested learning more about this, you can follow these links where for the cognitive services, you can go to this link. For bots, you can go to this link. There is an AI show that happens on Channel 9, which is free. You can watch there where Microsoft's folks cover the latest and greatest information in Microsoft AI stack. There is also AI school available from Microsoft, which is where you can take some courses for free. There are some other links available as well, or other sites available as well, like edx.org, where you can take a lot of free training for free. A lot of free training on AI and machine learning. So if you are like me, where you are interested in starting with your AI journey in Microsoft ecosystem, but you don't know where to start, you can follow this flowchart where if you are interested in building your own machine learning model, you are a data scientist and you want to dig in deep into data science and you want to build your own machine learning model, the right product or service for you is Azure Machine Learning. But if you are like me, who is more interested in just consuming AI as a services, then cognitive services and bots are for you. So let's talk about why a bot, why we should be creating bots. One of the reason is it helps you to automate the repetitive task and free up the resources. So a lot of enterprises and a lot of commercial organizations have started using bots for repetitive tasks, especially for the help desk. And what helps them with that is if you have a bot as your first line of defense, and if it able to take care of some of the trivial requests from the users, then what happens is your main agents can then spend more time in solving the difficult questions or difficult challenges of your customer. Bots are available all the time. If you had to run a help desk 24/7, it's a very expensive operation, whereas bots are available all the time. And if you're done right, bots simplify the UI. And if you use Microsoft bot framework, then you can develop your bot once and you can deploy that to multiple channels. Now here, the channel means multiple devices, and the channel does not mean the channel that comes with Microsoft Team. That means if I create a bot using Microsoft bot framework, I can deploy that to Microsoft Team. I can deploy that to Facebook. I can deploy that to Slack. And also it bot may help you to connect with your younger users of your organization. If your organization is big and you have employees from various age range, then the bots may help you to connect with your younger users. So we are kind of familiar with the different kind of bots in our personal life. Like if you are a customer of any major financial institution like Bank of America or Capital One or Citibank, if you try to call their customer service, the first line of defense for this financial institution is always going to be a voice-based bot. And the voice-based bot asks you some question, and depending on your answer, it may give you the information or it may redirect you to a human agent. So if you have to implement bots and if you are interested in exploring what are the options available in Microsoft ecosystem, so these are the options available as of today. So we have two options. One is software as a service and second is platform as a service. So under software as a service, we have something called Power Virtual Agent, which gives you a no code experience for bot development. So basically you don't need to be a developer to build a bot. Using a drag and drop functionality and using some configuration, you can offload the bot development process to the business users and domain experts. And if you are interested exploring the Power Virtual Agents, you can go to this link and sign up for free. Under platform as a service, we have Microsoft Bot Framework, which is an open source SDK and tools which are and the built for the purpose of bot development. And the target audience for this are developers. So using bot framework, even if you're not a developer, you can still create a simplistic version of a bot. But to really create a sophisticated bot, you need to be a developer. And if you are interested in reading more about Microsoft Bot Framework, you can go to this link and find more about that. And there is a question in the in the chat. Can you please? Okay, so the slide deck will be available. You can refer to the slide deck later on, and I think you are looking for some of the links there. You can definitely find those links later in the deck. So there is another product. All right, there's a question, what can bot framework do that Power Virtual Agents cannot do? So good question. We will save that for later because I have a slide coming up where I have shown a comparison between a Power Virtual Agents and a bot framework. There is another tool available which is open source called Microsoft Bot Framework Composer. And it's open source and it basically gives you a visual authoring canvas for developers to build a multidisciplinary teams to design and build conversational experience. And using the bot framework composer, you can integrate various cognitive services available from Microsoft like Q&A Maker or Lewis as well. And what it has is it has a visual editing canvas for conversation flows and in context editing for language understanding. It has tools to train and test manual language understanding and Q&A components, and also has language generation and templating system. Uh, it also has a ready-to-use bot runtime executable. So if you are interested exploring about Microsoft Bot Framework Composer, you can go to this link and find more information about that. Again, this is open source and you can use it for free. But the target audience for that is still going to be developers. So when it comes to the bots in Microsoft ecosystem, Power Virtual Agent sits in the top, which are ideal for the business users. And Power Virtual Agents are built on the top of Microsoft Bot Framework. And however, what the Power Platform team has done is they are taking care of all the plumbing or all the things that need to happen behind the scene. And they are giving us you a visual interface where you just have to configure a few things using drag and drop functionality to create a sophisticated bots. There is a really good integration story available where you can integrate or you can call a bot build using Power Virtual Agents from a bot build using a Microsoft Bot Framework using something called a bot framework skill. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the comparison. And here, and this comparison is purely based on my experience. Like a Power Virtual Agent, it's really easy to create and test the bots. You can have a bot up and running in within a few minutes. Whereas when it comes to the Microsoft Bot Framework, it has a steep learning curve. You need to be a developer to use the Microsoft Bot Framework, and to create an enterprise-grade bot, you need to learn a lot of tricks in the trade. The ideal target audience for Power Virtual Agents are power users and IT pros. Whereas to use Microsoft Bot Framework, you need to be a developer. When it comes to Power Virtual Agents, the maintenance and enhancements are very easy, whereas the maintenance and enhancements are a little bit cumbersome with the Microsoft Bot Framework. It uses a lot of AI services under the hood, so you as a you as a user or you as a creator doesn't have to understand the different nuances about the AI as a services, where you need to integrate the AI services like Lewis or Q&A Maker to make your bot intelligent. And to do that effectively, you need to be a developer. It has inbuilt support for analytics. It does not have that. You need to use a separate service in Azure called App Insight, or you can use your custom service there as well. However, there is a big difference in the pricing. Power Virtual Agents are part of Power Platform team. So if you look at Microsoft ecosystem, you can differentiate Microsoft ecosystem into three major platforms. One is the Azure, which where you will find AI as well as big data and SQL Server and other services. Second is Microsoft 365, where you will find productivity applications like Outlook, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams. And there is a third called Power Platform, where you will find Dynamics 365, you will see Power Apps, you will see Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents are part of that particular family. So you need a separate license to begin with. And as of today, I didn't check this today, but last time I checked, you need to have a fix. You need to start with a fixed price point, and then depending on your use, you have to pay some additional licensing fees. Whereas Microsoft, if you create a custom bot using Microsoft Bot Framework, it's really inexpensive to begin with. However, you need to be a developer and you need to account for a lot of different services like, okay, where I will be hosting my bot. If I have to integrate any kind of AI as a services, which kind of AI service I will be using, how to use those AI services, all this thing, you will have full control. That means you will not be bogged down by the constraints that something like a you drag and drop product like Power Virtual Agents will provide for you. So I hope, James, that answered the question for you. If not, please feel free to ask any additional questions that you have in the chat window. Again, these are my thoughts, and Microsoft is working hard to improve a lot of features into the Power Virtual Agent. But one thing you need to understand is when you compare something which is custom and something which is available as a drag and drop, the options that available in drag and drop kind of product will be always be limited as compared to the custom one. All right. So let's talk about what is Microsoft Bot Framework. So as I mentioned, it's an open source SDK which allows you to create bots. And a bot, if one thing that I want you guys to take home from today's talk is a bot is nothing but a website or a web service with different kind of user experience. So in your professional career, if you have created a website or if you have maintain a website or if you have used a website, so the concept are pretty much the same. You will be basically creating the website with different kind of user interface which will be doing a specific operation for you. So you will be using a bot framework and using bot builder SDK. You will be creating your bot, and to add the human edge to your bot, that means to add any kind of intelligence to your bot, you need to use something called AI as a services. And here you have an option of using AI as a services from Microsoft, but also you can use AI as a service from other vendors as well. That means you are not just confined to using just Microsoft services. If you are an AWS shop or if you're a Google shop, you can use AI services from Google and other vendors as well. And you can deploy your bot to multiple channels, and the list of channels is ever increasing. Some of the channels are free, some of the channels are premium channel. As I mentioned, once you deploy a bot, you can deploy the developer bot, you can deploy that to multiple channels. So that comes to interesting question, like if I am using Microsoft Bot Framework and if I'm creating custom bot, where can I host that bot? You have two options. The recommended one is using Azure Bot Service, because that's where you will get maximum support, and also you'll also get a lot of other easy integration with Azure services, because both Microsoft Bot Framework and Azure Bot Services from Microsoft. You can also host bots created using Microsoft Bot Framework on your in the VMs like virtual machine, and those VMs can be in Azure on any other public cloud, or you can also have these VMs in on-premise server as well. So this is huge because a lot of agencies or a lot of companies are still not comfortable using public cloud. And if you would like to create a bot, you can still use Microsoft Bot Framework to create the custom bot, and you can host that bot yourself. Again, if you go with your own infrastructure, you have to take care of extra plumbing that it takes to host a website or a bot, where you need to have a dedicated servers, you need to install the latest OS, the latest patches, you need to install the bot framework SDK, and you have to make sure you have to spend some resources in maintaining that servers. Whereas if you go with Azure Bot Service, as long as you pay the subscription money, Microsoft will take care of for that you. So any questions so far? I don't see that in the chat window, but if you have, just raise your hand or just unmute yourself and ask the question. So bot development is very new, and this is um, uh, the flow chart that you should be following, whether you are creating a bot using Microsoft Bot Framework or using Power Virtual Agents or any other open source frameworks that are out there. So planning is very, very important because the real estate that you get with bot is limited. If you see the transition, earlier the desktop application were popular, then 10 years before the mobile application got popular. And if you see the desktop has a big real estate, but the mobile has small real estate. So a lot of you have to adjust according to that. And if you consider bot, even now you have a lesser real estate that you can use. So you have to really, really plan well and do a really good job in terms of planning the user experience. If you don't do that well, your users will not use your bot at all. Then once you have visualize how the experience, what kind of experience your bot will have, the next thing you have to do is you have to build your bot. And here you can use something called Bot Builder SDK to add human edge to your or human intelligence to your bot. You can use something like cognitive services. Then you test your bot. If you go with Microsoft Bot Framework, there is something called Emulator that is available, which is a free open source tool, which and it's cross-platform as well, where you can test the bots locally. Once the testing is done, you can add something like application insights to capture how the users are interacting with the bot, what kind of questions they're asking, and whether bot is able to answer those questions or not. Then you can publish your bot. You can deploy that to Azure, or you can deploy that to your own web host as well. And then you connect to various channels. And the last thing is you constantly evaluate. And this is one of the major activity where you'll be spending much of a time, because launching a bot is not enough. You have to constantly monitor how the bot is performing, whether the questions or the information that your user are trying to seek, that bot is able to provide you that or not. And once you evaluate, again, you'll go back and implement the enhancement. You go through the testing, publishing, and again, the cycle continues. So let's do a quick demo of creating an echo bot using Visual Studio. So while I'm doing this demo, if you have any question, feel free to unmute yourself or ask that in the chat window. So let me open up the Visual Studio real quick. So here I have a Visual Studio. And what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a new project. And here in the search bar for the new project, I'm typing bot. And the one I'm interested is in creating the echo bot. So I'll be creating next. Then let's call it as Azure Data Fest Summer 2020 Echo Bot 01. And let's give it a path to my machine here. Oops. All right, let's create a temp directory here, and let's create everything there. OK. All right. And then click create. So what will happen is it will this Visual Studio template will create a empty echo bot on my machine. And while this is happening, this is a good time to ask any question you may have. OK, so far I have created the bot. Let's see if we can if this particular project gets compiled on my machine or not. So next thing I have done is I have used the build command. And now if you look at the bottom of the screen, it's basically installing all the required the NuGet packages. And also after that, it will be building this project or building the solution. And this will take 1 to 2 minutes. OK, the build is successful. Now, next thing I'll be doing is I'll be running this bot locally on my machine. So let me click on start a new instance. And this should start the bot on my machine, which we can test using bot emulator. All right, it's running and it has started this browser window, which I will be moving on the screen I'm sharing. And depending on the machine of your speed and the processing power, this operation may take 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, that's fine. It's loading right now. So far what we have done is we have used Visual Studio. And if you are in front of your machine and if you're trying this, and if you don't see the kind of, or if you don't have the latest version of Visual Studio, what you can, and if you have the older version, you may have to download some additional templates, especially if you are using 2015, Visual Studio 2015, you have to do some additional steps to have this template on your machine. All right, let's go back to, all right, so the bot is ready. And if you see here, the kind of flowchart I showed you earlier, the same kind of steps are mentioned here where you plan first, you build, you test, and here you have different kind of links available. So if you don't know the link to download the bot emulator, you can click on this link and it will open up the link where the information about the bot emulator is there, like how you can debug bot locally using the emulator. So I already have started install and started the bot emulator here. And the next thing I'll be doing is open the bot. And in the bot URL, I will be mentioning the URL of the bot. And if you, this will be the same as my local host and the port number. And after that, API/messages, and then click connect. If everything is fine in this particular right-hand window, I will be seeing the bot was able to connect properly. And I will see all the 200s and there will be no error messages. And looks like we are connected to the bot. So let's type something. Since we use the EcoBot template, what this template does is whatever input the user types, it will just display the same kind of template on, it will come back with the same kind of text. So I will ask, how are you? And if everything is right, it will come back with the same statement that I wrote. So this is like the quickest and easiest way to start developing the bot on your machine. But so far, what we did is we created an empty bot without writing any kind of business logic. But if you see, there is no human intelligence to this bot. This bot is very, very stupid. If what it's doing is just whatever I'm typing, it just giving me back. What if I would like to create an intelligent bot and I would like to integrate some of the services that are available from Microsoft? So if that's the case, let me stop the debugging first. Then we have something called, there are various services available in Microsoft AI stack, like the Lewis, the Azure Search, the Q&A Maker, the Bing Speech API, the Speaker Recognition API, the Translator, the Custom Speech Service. So Lewis, it's again a cognitive services. That means it's an AI as a service from Microsoft, where normally, let's take example of using bots for your help desk. So what you would like to do is you would like to basically mimic the experience that a user will get from a human agent via a bot. And we as a human can ask a question in multiple ways. Like if I would like to ask you, how are you? I can say, how are you? Or how are you doing? You, what's up? Or depending on my comfort level, depending on my lingo, I may add some other words as well. But we as a human can comprehend that very easily. Okay, your intent is you're basically asking me how I'm doing. So similar kind of uh, functionality you can add to your bot using something called language understanding intelligence service. The next one is the Azure Q&A maker. So if you haven't created a bot so far and you want to quickly create a POC and you have access to the Azure, then I will definitely recommend you to create a bot using Q&A maker. And I'll be showing you that next, like how easy it is to create a working bot using Q&A maker, deploy that to the Azure, and then add some additional customization to that bot using custom code. So with that, we will be going to the demo of Q&A maker. No, this is the one. Okay, no, all right. So here, use your favorite browser And you can follow these steps along with me if you are having dual screen. Just Google or Bing Microsoft Q and A Maker. And the link we are looking for is qnamaker.ai. So click on that. And here you can sign up for free as well. So if you don't have any Azure subscription, that's fine. You can sign up for free as well. So once this is loaded, if it's not automatically sign in, I will sign in. Okay, I'm clicking on the button called sign in. And since I'm already logged in with my Azure account, it's just re-authenticating me. And while I'm conducting these demos, these are the good times to ask any questions you may have or anything that is not clear so far. All right, it's taking more time than the normal. Okay, right, let me, which link to go from Google? Okay, so the link you are looking for is qnamaker.ai. So look for qnamaker.ai. That's the link. Okay, once it's loaded, once the sign in is successful, we will be redirected to the home page. For some reason, my looks like everything is okay. Thanks, Kenneth, for that. So the way Q&A Maker work is Q&A Maker will give you an ability to create a knowledge base from your pre-existing content, and that pre-existing content can be in the form of anything. It can be in the form of your Word document, can be PDFs, or can be Excel documents as well, or your question answers or knowledge base available on a public facing website as well. So the first thing you will be doing is you will be creating a knowledge base. So let's click on this button called create a knowledge base. And these are 4 steps you have to follow, where the step number 1 is you have to create a service which will be hosting this knowledge base. So what I'll be doing is if you are following the steps I'm taking so far, then first thing you'll be doing is while creating a knowledge base is click on create a Q&A service button. And what it will do is it will launch the Azure portal in a new tab, and it will give us uh, the page where we can create a Q&A maker service. All right. So the first thing I need to give it a name. So I'll be calling it Azure Data Fest Q and A Demo 01. Then you have to specify the subscription, the pricing tier. You can always start with a free tier, which is F0. And later on, if you would like to convert into the paid one, you can always change that later as well. But if you're doing a quick demo or quick POC, start with the free tier. Then you have to provide the resource group. Then the Azure Search pricing tier. Here again, you can start with the free tier, which is F. Then the Azure Search location. So since I am in East Coast, I will be all the resources that I will be creating will be in the East Coast only. And the same thing you should keep in mind, and it doesn't matter which public cloud you're using, your resources, you should try to have your resources in the same geographical location as much as possible so that you don't run into problem of latency. Then it's asking for the name and then the website location. I'll be again selecting the same location where the search location is, which is going to be east to west. And whether I would like to use application insight, I'll be using east to west for that as well. And if everything is right, click on create. And next thing it will be doing is validating the option. And then if everything is right, the deployment will start. So the deployment is happening. Again, this will take a minute or two, depending on your internet speed and depending on like how lucky you are on that particular day. So deployment is underway. It will be finished in a minute or so. Once this deployment is done, we will go back to the previous screen where we were creating the knowledge base. So any questions so far? And again, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or use the raise hand feature in the Teams, or type the question in the chat window. All right, so that service is deployed. So let's go back to the previous tab and click refresh here in step 2, so that this particular create a knowledge base page can now load the information about the Q&A maker service we just created. Again, this operation will also take 30 to 60 seconds. And once it's done, then we will be able to select the Q&A maker service we have created. So while this is happening, let's go ahead and fill some other information which is not depending on step 2, where what I'll be doing is I will be creating a knowledge base, since we are going through a pandemic called COVID-19. And let's say if you would like to quickly create a chatbot which your users can use, where they can get the latest and greatest information about COVID-19 crisis. We can create a knowledge base using Q&A maker service, and through that we can create a chatbot and we can deploy that chatbot. So the knowledge base I will be creating is related to the COVID-19. So I'll be writing COVID-19 KB. And the step 4 is whether we had to provide the source for this knowledge base. So here you have multiple options. If your knowledge base is already available publicly on the internet, you can provide the URL of the page. Or you can also, if it's behind the firewall and we cannot access that page on the internet, you can also download those FAQs and then upload that in the using as a file. So this is a link I got from the CDC's site regarding COVID-19. And this page has multiple questions and answers regarding COVID-19. So what we'll be doing is we will be using this page to create our knowledge base. So in the URL section, I can add this. If you have multiple pages, you can add multiple URL at the same time and then extract the content from it. And as I mentioned, you can also use the URLs, the PDF and the doc files. Now let's see if it looks like it's still loading. So we have to wait for this. OK, looks like it's loaded. The next thing we had to do is we had to provide the Microsoft Azure Directory ID. If you don't know your directory ID, all you have to do is go to your Azure subscription. In the left-hand navigation, click on Azure Active Directory. And once this page is loaded, you will know the name of your default directory here. All right, looks like internet is not happy with me today. Most likely it's because we are recording this session. And OK, so if you see, this is the default directory information that I have. And if you are using the same account and through that same account, you have access to multiple Azure directories, you have to then select the one where you have created that particular Q&A maker service. Then you have to specify the subscription under which you have created. And then finally, you will get the name of the service that we created. And in the previous session, someone asked a question about language. So here, while creating the knowledge base, you can select the language. So right now, for the chit chat experience, we have Chinese, simplified English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, and Spanish language. But if you don't want to have chit chat, and if you want to have plain Q&As, then there are other languages available as well. So in this case, I'll be going with English. And then we have to give it a name as COVID-19 knowledge base. We have given the URL. Under chit chat, you have multiple options to select what kind of persona you would like your bot to give. And in this case, I will be going with witty. But if you are doing this demo to your CIOs or CTOs, go ahead with make sure you use professional and not witty, because witty persona will come back with some choice answer that you don't want to show to your CTOs or serial executives. And if everything is right, then just click on create KB. And this particular operation what exactly this will do is it will go through this particular page, scan all the content, and it will present us in the form of question and answers. And depending on how much information that particular page has, this operation may take anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes. So while it's happening, it's a good time to ask any questions you may have, or anything that is not clear, or any step that you were not able to follow. All right. So looks like it has uh, extract the question answers from that particular public facing page, and it has given us that information in the form of question and answers. We can also edit this. Like if I click on this, I can edit this. I can edit the answer as well, and I can add my own Q&A pair as well. So if I add additional Q&A pair, how is this session? The answer is oh, the attendees. And that said, if you would like to get rid of any question answers later on, you can do that. You can just delete here. And if you click next, 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 you will see all the information that all the questions that are available on that this particular page got added here. But if you navigate towards the end on this particular knowledge base, you will see some additional question answers as well. And once this page is loaded, I will show you what those question answers are. Okay, so I'm at the 20th page, and there is, okay, looks like it's loading. I refresh again, so it's loading again. All right. I should not have pressed refresh because it's taking too much time to reload. Okay. Okay, so the question from Kenneth is, does the source website needs to be in a particular structure, or uh, if it's in a particular structure, then you will get the best results. If you just have a let's say if you don't have the information is in proper structure, what you can do is you can just use that information from your public website and add in the question answer format in Word document or in a text document, and then use that. But the more structure you have, the better results you'll get. Otherwise, you have to, once the Q&As are generated, you have to then manually update those. Wow, it's taking a lot of time, which is not good. While it's loading, any other question? Unmute yourself or raise hand or type that in the chat window. So we will not wait for this. So next thing we have to do is just click on save and train. So what this button will do is it will basically train this Q&As. And once that is done, we should be able to test that right away. So if you click on a test button here, we can test the Q&A right away in the screen. So let's ask something about what is COVID-19. If everything is right, it should come back. Okay, looks like it didn't get that question, so it came back with some witty answer. It comprehended what is the name, but let's ask what is COVID-19. All right, so this time it came back with the answer. That means this particular knowledge base, we can ask the question and it came back with the answer as well. Now let's do a little bit differently. We will tweak this question differently. Can you please let me know what COVID-19 is? So instead of direct question, I'm asking indirect question, because here I would like to mimic the behavior of a human, because if a human is interacting with a bot, he may ask the same question in a multiple ways, just like we do when we are interacting with other humans. So if everything is correct, then yes, it is able to it is able to understand what I'm asking, and it's coming back with the answer. Now let's ask the same question with some spelling mistake. What is COVID-19? And here I will misspell what, and I will also remove verb as well and see if it's able to get that. So it was still able to comprehend that. The reason for that is if you look at the URL, it's qnmaker.ai. That means there are some AI services are running in the backend, which basically are able to comprehend what the user is able to user is trying to ask. If you like what you saw, the next thing is to publish this, and just click on the publish tab here and click on publish button. So the step we are doing is publishing this knowledge base, so we can use this inside a bot, a chat bot. So the Q&A serve, the knowledge base is published, and on this page you will see the information like how we can consume this knowledge base using something like a Postman or Curve. So what does this tell you is without creating a bot, we can still use this knowledge base and integrate this knowledge base in our custom application. But what we are interested is in creating a bot. So what I'll be doing is click on this button, create a bot. And what it will do is it will launch another window. And inside the Azure portal, it will open up the page to create a bot using this Q&A service. While this is happening, I see a question in the chat window. So if the source website is later changed, does that bot automatically updates? No, there is no automate update operation. Is you have to come to this knowledge base and then provide that link again, and it will and then have to go through the update operation. So it will come back with the handle, then the subscription is pre-populated, the resource group is pre-populated, the location is pre-populated. Here you can change that to the F0, which is a free tier. Then the app name. Remember in the beginning of the talk, I mentioned a bot is nothing but a website. So here we are trying to deploy the bot in the Azure using Azure Bot Service in Azure. And at the end of the day, it's creating a website for us. Which is going to be the name of our bot.azurewebsite.net. In the bot framework SDK, you have two options right now. You can either go with C# or you can go with Node.js. So depending on your development choice, you can pick one or another. This is already pre-baked with the Q&A maker authentication key that we saw here. Uh, and Application insights are turned on by default. If you don't want, you can turn that off. And the application inside location is east to west. So I'll click create. If everything is right, then we will be creating a bot using this. And in the meantime, I will see if there are any questions in the chat window. Looks like there is one. Could you discuss the cost management for Q&A service? For example, if I'm a small budget organization, is this something I can afford? Gustavo, yes, you can afford that. To find more information about the Q&A maker, you can just go to the Q&A maker documentation and find the information about the cost. Remember, everything in Azure is all based on the consumption. So if you're a small organization and you're not consuming that much, then you will not be paying that much money. The more consumption you have, the more money you will be paying. Okay. So the deployment is going on. Any other question while we are creating the bot? Looks like the bot is deployed. So let's go to the bot. So here we have deployed the bot into the Azure using Azure Bot Service. And in this portal itself, we can test this bot using the web chat. So once this is loaded, I will be just asking the question, what is COVID-19? And if everything is right, it should come back with the answer. So yep, looks like everything is working. That means if I'm asking a question to the bot is able to connect that question to the Q&A maker service and able to surface the answer for us. Now let's see the channels. So by default, whenever you create a bot, by default, the web chat channel is available, but you can also deploy that to additional channels as well. So let's deploy this bot to the Teams. Because Teams, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic has started, the usage of Teams have skyrocketed. So let's click on Teams. And the first question it's asking me is where I would like to deploying that to a commercial Teams or to a Microsoft Teams for government. So I will be deploying for commercial. Click Save, then agree to the terms of service. Click on Agree. If everything is fine, okay, looks like our bot is deployed now. And if I click on channels again, in the left-hand navigation, click on different link and let me go back to the channels again. I should be seeing the teams available as well. So with few button clicks, our chatbot is also available for Microsoft Teams as well. So you don't have to write any additional lines of code here. Now, we tested this bot in the Azure portal, but what if I would like to test this bot outside, or I would like to add this bot in a public facing website or in Microsoft Team? So for that, click on this link called Get Bot Embed Codes. And by default, Microsoft Team is selected, but I'm interested in chatbot. So let's click on that. And here there is a code available for us that we can use to basically add this bot, a chatbot as an iframe in any web page. So instead of using iframe, what I will be doing is I will be opening this bot in another window. So let me copy this and paste it here. And let me construct the URL for our bot. So right now, the only kind of authentication we have used with this bot is using this key. So make sure you're not exposing this key to anyone else, because if someone has the key and someone has the URL of your bot, they can use your bot and you will be paying the subscription cost for that. So if I type this and if everything is working fine, I should see a box at the bottom. And if I type what is COVID-19, if everything is right, it should come back with the answer. That means our bot is working fine. Now let's go back and see this bot in action in Microsoft Teams as well. Okay, channels. Let me click on channels and right click on Microsoft Team and open up my Office 365 account where I'll be launching this bot in a team. And so far, I haven't deployed this bot. I'm opening this bot using a specific unique identifier for the bot, but I can still test this bot in the MS Teams as well. So once this loaded, I should be able to interact with this bot through Microsoft Teams as well. And so far, I haven't written a single line of code. So even though in the beginning I mentioned Microsoft Bot Framework is for developers, there are few scenarios you can achieve without writing a single line of code using Microsoft Bot Framework. So once it's loaded, we will interact with this. Okay. Dismiss. And you will see the name of the bot is already there. So just ask what is COVID-19. If everything is fine, it should come back with the answer. Yes, it came back with the answer. So this proves us now we can use this bot inside Microsoft Teams as well. Now you like what you saw. The next thing is you would like to do some additional customization in it. So this is the where I really like this particular option that we have in Azure, where once you use Azure to create your bot, whatever the source code the bot is using, you can download that source code. So if I click on download bot source code, depending on what language you selected for your SDK, whether you selected C# or Node.js, the source code will be available for you that you can download and then start modifying on your machine. So these are some really powerful use cases that you have while creating the bots. I know we are closer to the time. So the few things I would like to cover before I wrap up for the day is, if you are interested in learning more about the bot development, especially in the context of the Microsoft Teams and the Power Platform, you can get your personal Microsoft 365 subscription for free. All you have to do is go to this particular link, docs.microsoft.com. And again, this link will be available to you via slide decks as well, and sign up for the Office 365 developer program. Using this, you get your personal Microsoft 365 subscription with E5 license for free for 3 months. And it comes with 25 users. And depending on your usage, Microsoft may extend your trial for another 3 months as well. And you can always sign up for free trial. And since to deploy bots to Azure and to use Q&A Maker service and other AI as a service from Microsoft, you need Azure subscription. There are multiple ways where you can get your personal Azure subscription. If you have MSDN account, you can get Azure subscription through that. Or you can sign up for a free trial. So right now, Microsoft is giving away $200 of credit for free that you can use within a year. There is another program from Microsoft called Microsoft Imagine, where you don't need a credit card, and all you need is a valid .edu account. And if your school is participating in Microsoft Imagine program, you may get a free Azure subscription with limited feature set. So hopefully the contents we covered today made you excited to explore bots and cognitive services, and you'll go home and play with that. And if you don't have access to Office 365 and if you want to play with that, go to this link and sign up for a free developer program. So these are the things we covered today. And these are the references that I use for this talk. With that, I would like to thank you very much for joining us today. I know we are towards the end of the talk, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat window or unmute yourself. And these are my contact details. Please be in touch. You can connect me on LinkedIn, or you can email me. And I'm also available on Twitter as well. With that, thank you very much for coming. And if you have any questions, stick around. If not, then happy Independence Day. And hopefully you will join us for future events as well. Thank you. And if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, this is the LinkedIn link I have posted. And I'm going to post a link to the Azure Azure AI ML Fest one more time in the chat window. So thank you, and see you next time. And if you have any question, just feel free to ask me or unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Prashant. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Okay.